Want to make a super cool snake cake to wow guests at your next party? With a little creativity and a healthy dose of buttercream, you can make a snake cake of your very own. Just follow these instructions. Before you start, gather the ingredients and equipment you will need to prepare the cake. Take out 2 sticks of butter and allow them to come up to room temperature. This will ensure that the butter won't be so difficult to mix. Begin by baking your cakes for the snake. Once you're done, start making the buttercream and Rice Krispies. To make the buttercream, put the 2 sticks of room temperature butter in a mixing bowl. A stand mixer works perfectly for this process. Whip the butter for about 2 minutes. Add a stick of shortening and mix until it's well incorporated into the mixture. Next, you'll add powdered sugar 1 cup at a time. Don't just dump all the sugar all at once, or you'll have a powdered sugar cloud in your face. It sounds delicious, but you'll still be the one to clean up the mess. As you add the sugar into the mixture, you'll notice that it will start to become thick and fluffy. If you'd like a less sweeter cream, add fewer cups of powdered sugar. Or if you want it more sweeter, add more cups of powdered sugar 1 cup at a time. The flavor is customizable. Next, mix in 1 to 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. It depends on how much of a vanilla flavor you want. So if you want a more vanilla flavor, 2 teaspoons will most likely work. However, if the mixture becomes too thick, just add a little bit of milk. Add 1 teaspoon of milk, then add more until you get the right consistency. The consistency should be fluffy and also should cling onto the spatula. That should allow the buttercream to be easily spreadable, but also stable enough for the scales on the snake to stand out instead of melting together. Once the mixture is well incorporated and the consistency is correct, cover the mixing bowl and refrigerate it. Next, you'll need to make a batch of Rice Krispies to mold the head and tail. Once you put the batch in the fridge, it's time to level your cakes. Leveling your cakes ensures that they'll stack evenly. You can use a cake leveler or a simple chef's knife. To level your cakes, evenly cut the top of your cakes so that you have a flat surface to work with. Now that your cakes are leveled, let's start assembling. Get the buttercream out the fridge and let it rise to room temperature. Place your cake board, pipe a bit of buttercream on the center, and place the cake on top of the buttercream. Frost the top of the cake with a layer of buttercream. Spin the cake board and start spreading the buttercream in a circle, then fill in the middle. If you like a lot of frosting between your cake layers, go ahead and add a good amount of it. If not, spread a thinner layer of buttercream. Once you're done spreading on the first layer, place the second layer on top of the first frosted layer. Now you got the beginning base of your snake. Now, this next part of the process is about to get a bit tricky, but you can do this. Use a sharp knife to gently round out the side of the cake so that it looks like 2 tires stacked on top of each other. It should resemble similarly to a coiled-up snake. There isn't a science to this, but a good rule of thumb is to cut out small pieces and check to see if it is shaping up. And it's not going to shape up immediately, so this will take some trial and error. But don't give up, we're almost done. Once you got the shape down, we'll mold the Rice Krispies into a head and tail. The size of the pieces will depend on the shape of the cake. To make the head, shape the ball of Rice Krispies into a triangular wedge. Work it until they become the desired shape for the head. To place the head, carve a small piece anywhere with a knife so that the snake's head sits flat. This is going to look like the snake's head is popping out of the coil. Do the same thing for the tail and we'll move to the next step. It's time to crumb coat the cake. Crumb coating is the process of adding a thin layer of buttercream on the cake that act as a barrier between the final layer of buttercream and the crumbs that come off the cake during the frosting process. To do this, add a thin layer of buttercream and smooth it out as much as possible. Don't worry about the crumbs mixing into this layer. We'll cover it with scales. Once you're done, refrigerate the cake for a minimum of 30 minutes. Now, it's time to start decorating. Color the remaining buttercream with the desired colors for your snake. Add a few drops of gel food coloring and mix until you get the desired colors. Take your colored buttercream and pour it into a pastry bag that is fitted with a small leaf-shaped piping tip. The leaf shape makes perfect scales for the snake. You can test the scales on a plate before decorating. Now comes the fun part. Pipe the scales one by one until you've covered the whole cake. Though you're probably going to need a reference picture before you start. This is the most time-consuming part of the process, but the end product is definitely worth it. After piping all of your scales, your snake is gonna need some eyes. You can simply use chocolate chips or edible candy eyes. Finally, clean up your cake board, and your snake is ready for your next safari. Shout out to Mercedes from Busy Bees Bakery for helping us with this amazing tutorial.